Alright, once again, my name's Rachel and this is Video Masking inside ProShow Producer. And our goal in today's class is to share with you different types of masks. Alright, hopefully you guys are pretty familiar with how to use a standard mask inside ProShow, something like what you see on my screen right now. But what we're going to do today is incorporate video files and use those as masks. And it kind of opens up a whole new world of possibilities. New textures that you can create, different backgrounds, different transitions even. So video masking is a really powerful tool and pretty simple to use. If you can use a regular mask, you can use a video mask. Alright, so today we're going to start with the basics. We're going to do an overview of what masking is and how you can use it. And then we're going to go over 3 different examples of how to use video masks. We're also going to talk about some sources for video masks. Because of course getting a mask, a video that's suitable for masking in your possession is, a very major part of learning how to do video masks. So we'll definitely talk about that. Alright, so before we get started going over the examples, I want to play through the finished product. So this way you're going to have an idea of what we're working towards throughout today's class. Alright, so I'm going to go through and play these 3 examples back. Alright, so 3 examples, all 3 use video masks. Alright, so let's go into a blank slideshow. I'm working in a project mode here so we can work on multiple shows at once. This will allow us to create new examples and go back and reference our original examples if we need to. So, as hopefully you guys are all familiar, ProShow allows you to use images and videos as layers in a slide. So ProShow doesn't really distinguish between the two. Anything that you can do to an image in your slideshow, you can also do to a video. Alright, so we're going to start out with the basics of how masking works. Alright, so just as a curious example, or I'm kind of curious, click on that hand icon if you have either taken the Intro to Masking course or you're familiar with how to use masks inside ProShow Producer. Click on that hand icon. Perfect. Looks like almost half of you are, which is good. So this review will be good for those of you who may not be familiar. When you want to work with masking inside ProShow, you need to start out with an image. In this case, I'm just going to start out with this image of a skyscape. Alright, so I'm going to drag and drop that into my slide. Now, ProShow includes some free masks. Now these are all going to be just images, but if you want to use some of these masks that come with the program, it's a good way to kind of get started using masks. So to find those, you're going to, when you open up your folder list, it looks something like this in the upper left-hand corner. If you expand your media sources section, you should see ProShow Producer built-in content. Now everything above that, it may look a little bit different, but you should for sure have ProShow Producer built-in content. One of the folders in there should be masks. If you do not see masks, you can easily download this content. It's free from Photodex. To do that, go up to your menu bar, choose File, then go to Download Extras, and choose Download Extras again. Alright. When you do that, you need to be connected to the internet, and you will connect to Photodex, and you will have the option of downloading these extras. I have it highlighted right now, masks. Now, and you'll get all 10 of these free masks. There's also other content that you have the ability to download, so feel free to take advantage of that. It's all pretty generic. I mean, it is free. But if you're looking for some extra content, lots of backgrounds, menus, stuff like that, feel free to take advantage of any of this. When you've selected what you want to download, just choose Install Selected, and it will be downloaded onto your computer, and then you'll be able to find this content in your media sources section. What you'll probably have to do is close down, like minimize that media sources area, and then expand it once again, and then you should be able to see it. You just kind of need to refresh it for ProShow. So in this case, we'll choose a mask to use. I think with this skyscape that we're using, this mask 05 works really well. So what I'm going to do is hold down my control key and drag and drop this mask layer onto slide number 1. Now this is just a PNG file. It's a very basic file. All it is black and white. Let's open up our slide options. We're going to go over to our layers category, and we're going to be working in the Layer Settings tab. Now, at this point, you can see in my preview window, I'm working in a 16:9 widescreen format. However, my images aren't quite a widescreen aspect ratio. So to the left and right of my images, you see the background. I can easily change that by going over to the left on my layer settings and change the scaling of my image. Right now it's set to fit to frame, so the entire image fits inside the preview window. I can change that to fill frame, and now I don't see any of that background. Notice though it kind of zooms in on the layer and part of the image is cropped off. So if you want, you can kind of adjust the placement. In this case, I'm just going to pull it up a little bit so that we see the bottom part of that kind of those kind of sun rays. I'm going to do the same thing with layer number 2, my sky image. On the left, change the scaling to fill frame. Alright, so when you want to work with a mask, there are 2 different types of masks. In this class, we're going to only be using intensity or grayscale masks. Those tend to work best with video masks, so that's what we're going to be focusing on. For those of you who are familiar with masking, this should be a review for you. When you work with an intensity or grayscale mask, let me take this number 1 layer, go over to the left with where it says masking layer. I'm going to turn masking on. Alright, if I click on layer number 2, you can see a preview of what my slide looks like now. So let's take a look at what's happening. When you work with an intensity or grayscale mask, there's a very simple rule that applies. And that rule is dark conceals, light reveals. And I have a kind of cheesy way of remembering that, and that is dark, I equal that to black, and black is a very concealing color to wear. You can kind of hide your flaws if you wear black clothes, right? It's a very slimming color, so it's concealing, so black conceals, whereas white is very revealing. So white equals light in this case. White is about as light as you can get. Alright, so white is revealing. If you've tried to wear white jeans, you know that it's kind of a challenge because they are very revealing. Alright, so black conceals, white reveals. And anything in between, you're going to get kind of a little bit showing through. Alright, so you just need to remember that dark or black conceals, white reveals. So what that means is, in my mask layer, anywhere where it is black or dark, it is going to conceal the layer underneath, the layer that it's linked to. You can see which layers are linked to the mask in your layers list. Alright, so when I click on the sky layer, anywhere where my mask is black or a dark gray, it's concealing the sky image. So what I'm seeing in the preview window is actually the black background showing through. Anywhere where my mask is white or a light gray, I can see my sky layer. So we're changing kind of the shape, the look of the sky layer using this mask. Now, when masking you can kind of play around with this and start to create interesting effects. So, for example, in this case, maybe I want to take the sky layer that I have here. I'm going to right click on it and I'm simply going to duplicate it. I want two of the exact same image. Now my new layer was added as the top layer. I actually want it to be underneath my mask pair. So I'm going to use the down arrow here in my layers list to move that sky layer down to the bottom. So what happens now is you actually our image actually looks normal because instead of the black background showing through, it's simply the same image. So we need to make some adjustments. What we want to do is click on that very bottom sky layer, go over to our editing tab, and if you just make some kind of small adjustments, maybe increase the brightness a little bit, and maybe we increase the contrast. Maybe I'll take the white point up, the black point down. All right, so we get a nice bright look. What we've achieved now, let me click OK. So now what we see is anywhere where my original layer is being hidden, so that's the dark areas, you get these sort of sun rays coming out. Now what's cool as well, if we go back into our slide options and go over to our layer settings tab, we can achieve a completely different look by going over to the left on my masking layer and choosing invert. What that's going to do is make everything that's white, black, everything that is black, white. So we're simply switching everything around. And now if I click OK, we get a very similar yet different look. This time we're seeing more of the bright layer. We're seeing more of the kind of blown out look. So it achieves another effect. So oftentimes when you're working with these intensity or grayscale masks, you may want to try inverting the mask and see how it looks. Because oftentimes you can get just as good of a result or better result depending on what type of effect you're going for. And we're going to take advantage of that several times throughout today's class. All right, so let me lower everybody's hands for now, and question. Everybody feeling good so far with that review of intensity grayscale masks? If you're following along, click on that hand icon. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I've got more than half of you, so I'm happy. Okay, awesome. All right, let's delete this example. We don't need that anymore. Let's go ahead and get started with an actual video mask. All right, so in probably the toolkits that you've downloaded from us before, there is a video that's pretty common. It's this clouds.mov video. All right, so what I'm going to do is drag and drop that into slide number 1. And again, when you're loading videos into ProShow, it takes a little bit for the program to import your video. And once it's done, we can kind of play that back so you can see what it looks like. It's a very basic video, kind of a time-lapse photography looking video of clouds moving across the sky. All right. So we're going to take this clouds video, which notice it's not black and white, it's blue and white, but we're going to use it as a mask. The important thing is that there is a difference between light and dark values. All right. So we need to pick an image to use. I think for this one we're going to use this dirt road image. It's a very basic image, but when combining it with this clouds layer, we can create, instead of a bright sunny look, we can create something a little spookier. So think about something that you would want to use for maybe a Halloween slideshow or something to that effect. So I'm going to take this dirt road image, hold down my control key, and drag and drop to slide number 1. James asked if the MOV files are going to be available for download, and most of these are going to be. I need to check and make sure that we're able to distribute those. If we are, I'll get that uploaded this afternoon. All right. Okay, so let's open up our slide options, and of course we need to have our mask layer on top. So I'm going to take my clouds layer, move that to be layer number 1. And we'll take the dirt road image, and once again we want this to take up the entire screen. So I'm just going to change the scaling of my layer to fill frame. If you want, you can edit your preferences inside the program. If you're constantly having to change your settings to fill frame, you can go to Edit, Preferences, and down at the bottom, you can look at Show Defaults. Down at the bottom you see it says Scaling. You can always change the default scaling to be fill frame. Most of the time I don't, and I go and change it manually since most people don't change that. So I want to make sure you guys know what I'm doing and know that I'm actually changing that. But if you want to, you can always change the scaling to fill frame. And that way, anytime you drag and drop an image into the program or a video, it's going to automatically fill up the entire screen. Again, that's in Edit Preferences. Alright, so let's go back into our slide options. Now, for this example, all we really need to do is take our clouds layer, go over to the left, and simply enable it as a mask. That's it. It's really simple. Any image, any video can be applied as a mask. It doesn't have to be any special type, so we can take even something as simple as this clouds layer and make that a mask. So think about what's happening here. Anywhere where my mask is dark, in this case dark is going to be blue, my layer underneath, which is this dirt road, is going to be concealed. Alright, now think about it. Blue isn't exactly black, so it's not going to completely conceal the layer underneath. Even in this main preview area, we can see the blue areas because it's darker. Where the clouds are white, that's where we see the full image back. It's not being concealed at all. So the only difference between a standard mask and a video is that your values of light and dark are going to be moving across the screen. So it works the exact same way. Persha is just able to read each individual frame of that video and apply it to the layer underneath. So hit play, and you see we get this kind of moving effect across the screen. Now this, probably noticed this looks a little bit different than what we originally saw. What we'll do to make this look like it's actually clouds floating across the screen instead of this kind of weird smoke look is we invert the mask. So that's going to make everything that's light, in this case the clouds, will make that darker. Anything that is dark, in this case the sky, is going to be light. So that's going to reveal the layer underneath. Now, when we play it back, we get that more smoky look that we were going for. Like there's actually clouds floating across the screen. The nice thing about this example is that because the sky is blue and not black, and not even gray, it's not completely concealing the layer underneath. So we're still getting some of the original image showing through, but we're also getting some of that black background. And you can, when you're working with these video masks, you can adjust the effect several different ways. So if you want, say for example, you want more of a contrast, all right, between the smoke going across the screen. Say you want the clouds or the dark area to be darker. Since we've inverted the mask, remember that light is dark and dark is light. What you would do is go over into your editing tab and you would make adjustments to your mask layer. So if you want the contrast between the two to be greater, all right, so you want lights to be lighter, darks to be darker, take your contrast level for your mask layer and up it. And you can also do things like decrease the black point, increase the white point. Now your cloud layer here in the preview window looks pretty funky, but when you play it back, you're going to get this kind of dark black area coming across your screen. So it creates a completely different look. You can manipulate these layers to suit your needs. And of course you can make that less drastic if you want. If you want the clouds floating across the screen to be more subtle, simply decrease that contrast. You can take that down to where it's mostly gray, and the effect is much more subtle. So you have quite a bit of power of customization here when you're using these video masks, especially when you're doing something like this cloud layer where you're not exactly working with black and white, you're working with blue and white. So it gives you a lot of room, a lot of squish room. You could also do things like colorize your layer first and then go in and increase that contrast level. Lower that black point, increase the white point, and you're going to get something maybe just a little bit more dramatic than if you hadn't colorized the layer. It's kind of slight, not too much of a difference, but those are some of the options you have for adjusting your mask. Other things that you can do, you may want to edit your mask somewhat. If you go over into the middle of the video settings, you can, manipulate your mask in different ways if you're working with a video mask. Some of the things, just kind of a brief overview of working with your video clip settings here. On the left, underneath video clip settings, you see information about the length of the video. If you have a very short video that you want to last over a slide that is longer than the length of the video, you have the option of looping your video. So when you enable this looping option, if your slide is longer than the length of the video, Persha, when you get to the end of the video, Persha will automatically start the video over from the beginning. It may not be the smoothest transition, so be aware. If the end looks nothing like the beginning, you may get a little jump, but you do have that ability to loop. You also have options like locking the slide time to the video length. Something that's really cool, and especially when you're working with masking, can come in handy is adjusting the speed. Say for this clouds layer, we could increase the speed of the video. So when that happens, kind of take a look at what our video looks like when we increase the speed. Everything just moves across the screen faster. You can do the opposite effect if you want. You can slow down your video. Now since this is time-lapse, that means it's already kind of choppy anyway, so if we slow it down even further, you're really going to see kind of the fact that it's time-lapse and not an actual video stream. But if you're using a different type of mask, slowing that mask down can come in handy. You also have the ability to trim your video. Alright, so you can, if you don't want to use an entire video clip, you can trim it down to only use the section that you want. And we have a whole class where we go over for about 10-15 minutes on how to trim your video. The long and short of it is that you can take these markers at the beginning and end of your video timeline down here, and you can crop your video to be whatever length that you want. The nice thing is that, when you move your mouse cursor over this video preview area, in the upper left-hand corner you see an exact preview of what that frame looks like. You can also see a starting position frame preview and an ending position frame preview, and it tells you what the starting time and the ending time is, so if you need to use a precise time value, you can edit your video clip that way. You can preview here in the trim video options. So it's a pretty powerful tool for getting the basics done. You're not going to be able to do high power editing here, so just keep that in mind. All right. If you have cropped your video clip like we just did there, where my video clip was 13 seconds long, now it's only 6, you probably will want to adjust the length of your slide. By default, when you drop a video into your slide timeline, Prusa is going to make the length of that slide match the length of the video. So notice my slide time is 10.346 seconds. You may think that is not the length of my slide or of my video, but Prusa will take into account the transition in as well as the transition out for your video. So when you add in the 3 seconds transition out, we get that 13 seconds. If you have trimmed your video and you want to make sure that your slide time matches the length of the video, you can click on this Sync Slide Time button. All right, now take a look down in my slide list. You can see my slide time has been changed to 3.57 seconds. When you do the Sync Slide Time option, Prusa will not change your transition time. So you'll have to do that on your own. Let's say you don't want this long of a transition. We only want, say, 1 second transition. We'll need to change the transition time and then go in and say Sync Slide Time once again. All right. So we can all right, so these are your basic video clip settings. You can make adjustments to the sound settings if you have sound associated with the video. This particular video doesn't have any sound with it. One of the examples we will be doing, which I know I'm not going to be able to give you guys, does have sound associated with it. And we'll see how that works later. All right. Okay, so you can edit your video easy. For sure we'll be giving you this clouds video. But let's say you want to acquire some video for yourself. There are lots of places online where you can purchase videos. If you don't want to purchase videos, you can take videos that you have recorded with your own camera, whether it's a digital camera, whether it's a flip video camera, or a regular digital camcorder. If you've got digital video, you can use it inside Prusa. Things to remember when you are using video inside Prusa: short clips always work better, especially if you're using high definition videos. Some of the new SLR cameras take really excellent video, but the files are huge. So when you're dropping them into Prusa, you're going to be able to work more efficiently if you do short video clips. When you're trying to do masking with your video clips, think about you want to have contrasting values of light and dark. So for our clouds video, we had a nice blue sky and nice bright white clouds. If you don't want to take the video yourself, there are several sources of videos online. And let me show you a few of those. They're listed on the second page of your notes, so you can always look there as well. Choice Backgrounds is one. I've got all this bookmarked. So Choice Backgrounds is a good one. Choice Backgrounds also sells things like producer slide styles and templates, stuff like that. The cool thing about Choice Backgrounds is they always do a free background every month, which is pretty cool. And the one that is for this month would actually be a pretty good mask. It's called Abstract 035. It's loopable, it's an animation, so would definitely be a good mask, and it's free, which is pretty cool. So definitely check out Choice Backgrounds. They've got lots of other stuff that you could use. Just look in that video backgrounds area for possible videos to use as masks or even as video backgrounds. Another good site is Digital Hotcakes. Digital Hotcakes does all sorts of themed video products. So if you're looking for a video for a specific occasion, definitely take a look there. Probably my favorite source for finding videos is iStock Photo. And if you just, iStockPhoto actually has videos as well. So simply go to istockvideo.com/video. And if you want to just simply search, you can unclick all of these search topics except for video. And what I usually do here in iStockPhoto is just search for black and white. So it'll show you black and white videos. When you do that, you'll get quite a few videos that show up. The cool thing I think about iStockPhoto is if you hover your mouse over the video thumbnail, you get to see a preview. So Night Glitter, that one's pretty cool, can make a really neat background. You could create an interesting texture using these, and it's got a nice high contrast between black and white. Other cool ones, Ink and Water. This one could create a really interesting, almost transition effect. And I'll kind of show you how you can use these video masks as a sort of transition. But there's quite a few, and this is only the first page. There are 53 pages of black and white videos, so definitely take a look. Here's another good one with a nice high contrast that could create a really interesting look of a crowd of people walking, or something as simple as a wilderness landscape. They have lots of 3D looking videos, and all of these can be incorporated into ProShow. All right. So there are some sources online for you to get your own content. All right. So once you have acquired videos, you kind of want to think about what effect you're going for. We're going to create another effect now. It's called the water drop effect. And we're going to incorporate images and videos, and we're even going to add in a caption. So in this example, we're going to be using this image of a guitar, and we are going to drag and drop it into slide number 2. Next, we'll grab a video. We're going to be using the water drop video. Now, if you ever want to preview what a video looks like, you can always double-click on the video file in your file list. What's going to happen is ProShow will open up that video inside whatever player you have configured to play videos on your computer. In this case, it's an MOV file, so it's going to play in the QuickTime player. I can click play, and you can see a preview of this video file. All right, it's a water drop moving, and the circles, the rings, spread out across. It's got a nice, it's got a decent high contrast. In this case, it's kind of nice that the contrast isn't too crazy, because it allows you to see the image the entire time. All right, so the water drop. So we're going to take this water drop, hold down our control key, and drag and drop it onto slide number 2. Now it'll take just a moment to add in the video. Notice that my slide time carried over. Because I didn't drop the video in the slide first, ProShow did not automatically update my slide time. We'll have to do that ourselves. All right, let's double click, open up our slide options, go over to our layer settings. First thing, I want to change both of my layers to where they take up the entire screen. So I'm going to change the scaling for my guitar to fill frame, change the scaling for my water drop video to fill frame as well. I'm going to go over to my video settings tab, and I'm going to choose sync slide time. All right. So now I've got a 10-second slide, I've got a 1-second transition in, a 1-second transition out. And actually, I'm going to change that 1-second transition out to 0.5, simply because I know the video I'm going to be doing next, and I want that transition to be nice and short. So I'm going to sync that once again. All right, so I'm just clicking sync slide time to make sure the length of my video matches the length of my slide. Go back over to the Layer Settings tab, take your water drop image and enable it as a masking layer. All right, and click play, see what it looks like, see if you like the effect. It looks pretty cool. It's a really interesting way to, I don't know, kind of liquefy an image. If you want, you can also invert the mask, see what that looks like. You may like what it looks like better. I think it looks good without it being inverted. Let's try that again. Looks pretty cool. All right, so now that we have applied our video mask layer, which was actually really simple, nothing too complicated about that, we want to go into our captions category, and we're going to add some text to complement our video mask. In this case, we'll do something very basic, like welcome to video masking, something to that effect. Choose whatever font you like, whatever outline, drop shadow. In this case, I'm just going to use Impact. It's a nice basic font. I'm going to change my scaling or my alignment to center. Next, what I'm going to do is go over to my caption motion, and I'm going to adjust how and when my layer enters the screen. So I'm scrubbing through my video timeline. I don't really want my text to appear until after the water drop drops. So maybe about a little bit after the 2-second mark. So I'm going to take my keyframe 1 and drag it along. Maybe I'll move that video masking over to the right just a bit. All right. So I've also got a fly in effect. So my text isn't going to abruptly appear. In this case, my fly in effect is fade in. This is a good fly in effect, and you can scrub underneath your keyframe timeline and kind of take a look at what that looks like. And if you want, you can adjust how your text operates. In this case, probably what I'll do is increase the size of my text. And I'm just going to move keyframe 2 over so I can kind of get a good frame of reference. Maybe about like so, drag it over to the right just a smidge. And actually, what I'm going to do is copy start to end. I'm going to copy the position value because I want that position value to stay the same. And then in the ending position, I'm just going to zoom in on my text to where it gets larger. So as the water drop is spreading out, my text is getting larger. And we'll have it end at about the font size 23. I'm going to take keyframe 2 and move it all the way to the end of my slide timeline. So, our finished effect, let's see how that looks. Looks pretty cool, I think. You can take this and kind of work with it and start to manipulate it a little bit to where it kind of creates the effect you want. In this case, you could kind of adjust that fly-in effect. One that I kind of experimented with was I think it was zoom in. Yeah, so it was zoom in. And then what I did was I lengthened the timing of that fly-in effect to maybe like 4 seconds. And so what you get is something that is a little bit more subtle. All right, so let's play that back. And it's just another option. Instead of a basic fly-in or a basic fade-in. you're getting something a little bit more, oops, dramatic. Now what's cool about this particular effect is that this video is very easily loopable because you start out in kind of a blank slate and you end in a blank slate. So if you wanted, you could say increase your slide time to 30 seconds and let's see, let's still end at say 2 seconds. But then we can take our video settings for our mask and loop it, and you could add in additional text if you wanted. So you can see our text flies in, fades out, and we'll get another water droplet. And in this case, what you could do is you could adjust or you could add different images to appear on the screen by simply doing layer transitions and choosing when you want the images to appear and disappear. So it's a really cool effect. This water droplet is awesome, and I should be able to give that to you guys. So when you go to, say, download the recording of this class, you'll just want to check for a toolkit, and you'll be able to download that. All right, so water droplet, really cool. Our third and final effect that we're going to be creating uses this shatter.mov file. Now, this is a cool file. It includes audio. Unfortunately, I don't believe we have the ability to distribute this, but you can find very similar examples of this type of video clip on, say, iStockPhoto or another one of those websites I showed you. So let's take a look at what this shatter.mov file looks like. Oh, and it's nice and large. It's not exactly, barely fits on my screen. Let's play that back. Which I'm not even sure if you guys are able, oh yeah, you are, okay. Let's play that back once again. Pretty cool. Play it back one more time, and it turns white, and black and white. Cool. So, shatter effect is awesome. In this case, what we're going to do, we're going to take the shatter.mov, drag and drop it into slide number 3. This time I'm going to go ahead and drag that video file in there first so that my slide time will be appropriate. It's 5 seconds long. Alright, next we'll take an image file. In this case we'll use that sky image we used at the very beginning of class. And I'm going to take the sky image, hold down my control key, and drag and drop it into slide number 3. Alright. Again, I want my shatter video to be layer number 1. Let me go over to my layer settings tab. Just in case, I'm going to make sure that fills up the entire frame, and take my sky image and make sure it fills up the entire frame. Again, very simple. All you have to do is take the shatter, apply it as a mask, and click OK. Play it through. Let's start at the end of our guitar slide. Alright, so that mask is acting weird. I don't recall it doing that in this original example. I wonder. Because we only did it once. Okay, so we need to trim that video. Sorry about that, guys. So, because this mask goes through twice, and when it goes through twice, the first time it has audio, the second time it doesn't have audio. Alright, so that's why it's a pretty cool mask. Okay, so let's go into our video settings and let's trim up this video. What's nice is here inside the video trimmer you can see where there's audio. So we can, one, scrub through, and we probably want to end where it's white. All right, so before it turns black. So I'm going to use my cursor to kind of scrub through, and I want to get on the last frame where it's white. So about right there. And I'm going to click on the End Playback at Current Cursor Position flag. And you can see your keyboard shortcut is simply pressing the letter E. I'm going to use that flag button. All right. So up in the top of the screen, it should be at about the 2-second mark, frame 14. You can click and see if you can go a few further frames. Frame 15 looks good. Frame 16 we go back to black, which we don't want. Basically, we're starting out, think about what's happening. We're starting out at the beginning of the slide in black. So that means that my layer underneath is not going to be visible. We're ending in white, so my layer is visible. And in between, we've got this glass breaking, so we're slowly revealing the white layer. So we don't want to begin, or we don't want to end being black again, because that's going to hide the layer underneath. So we want to end with our video in white. And click OK. Alright, so now what we can do is play this back. Oh, gosh darn it. Okay, let's try that again. Trim that video. Let's make it frame 13. Let's try that. There we go. I didn't trim the video quite enough. So there we go. We get the crashing, and then we continue to see our underneath layer, the white layer. Now, what happens is when what ProShow will do is it will freeze. So at this point, our slide is 5 seconds long, a total of 5 seconds. But our video, when we look at the trim video, you see our video is only 2.441 seconds long. What ProShow will do is freeze that video on the last frame, which is why we want to make sure the last frame is all white, because ProShow will simply freeze the video there and it will stay on that frame through the end of the slide. Make sense? Alright, so with this particular mask, you can get some really cool effects if you invert the mask and if you add some additional layers. Take a look on the back in the layer settings. We can take this mask layer and invert it. Now when we do that, that means our slide starts out as white and ends as black. So we start out being able to see the sky image and we end on a completely blank slide. So let's take a look at what that looks like. With this lens is the ability to make this video a transition. All right, so what we can do is, say for example, add another image to our slide. So let's click on that plus button, choose to add an image or video. Let me see, let me look in that online classes toolkit. Let's look at images. Let's see what kind of image we could add. Maybe we want to add another skyscape. So maybe something like the one with the people walking, or maybe we want to do something completely different. That might be good. How about this beachscape? Let's choose that. And we'll take that image of the beach, let's move it down to our bottom layer and change the scaling to fill frame. So now what we get when we play through is we get that really interesting, in quotes, transition effect playing through the slide. So we can see it breaks up and we see our additional layer. You could kind of lengthen out this effect if you wanted by, say, for example, taking your sky layer and placing it in slide number 3. And let's see, maybe make it 2 seconds long. So what will happen is you'll see your sky layer for a bit, and then when the next slide appears, you transition, you get that sort of, in quotes, transition effect, which is actually a video mask revealing this other beach layer underneath. So with video masks, you can use them as a way of changing the way your image looks, like you did in this example and even this first example, or you can use them as a way to sort of get additional transition effects. Your transition effects here inside the program are awesome, and for the most part, they're everything that you're going to need or ever need inside the program. But, they don't have any sound effects that go with them. You can program your slideshow to where you hear that sound effect, but it's not necessarily going to, it's not quite the same. So let's look at that effect again. I think that one's pretty cool. You may recall we used that particular effect in, I believe it's our product demo, our ProShow Producer demo show. It uses that same type of thing. So by simply inverting your masks, by making some changes to your mask and to your layer order and the types of layers that you have, you can create these really interesting effects. So this brings us to the end of our course content for video masking. We went over the basics of what a mask is, and then we created these 3 different examples. We took a look at some other sources for where you can get video content. All right. So now I want to open up the floor to you guys. To any questions that you have, feel free to type your questions into the question box, and I will answer them in the order that they are submitted. I'm going to go ahead and lower everybody's hands. And all right, so we've got a question from Valerie. How do I get iStock Photo? Is guitar and water droplet in our folder already? Where would I find anything related to music, banjo, or fiddle? All right, we got quite a few questions there. So, iStock Photo, all you need to do is go to iStockPhoto.com. And the way that works is you can purchase, you need to purchase credits. Let me just go to the main iStock Photo. It's free to sign up and be a member. All right. And for video files, you can get video files. These are basic prices for video files. All right, so if you want an HD video file, it's going to be more expensive than something smaller. And you can also do subscriptions, or you can buy photos. So iStock Photo, you buy a certain number of credits, and that's how you purchase the images. So all the information about how to use iStock Photo is on their website. The guitar and water droplet are not in your folder already. I will be placing them on there. Later on today. So take a look for that, or look for that this afternoon. And anything related to music. Are you asking for royalty-free music, Valerie? Where to find that? If that's what you're asking, I would recommend just doing a Google search for royalty-free music. There's quite a few out there. I've used that Incomtech before. iStock Photo has some royalty-free music that you can use. Some other sites that I've used quite a bit, musicbakery.com, shockwavesound.com has some good stuff. So definitely check out those websites. Another good website that doesn't show up, at least in this first page, is called Triple Scoop Music. Triple Scoop Music. So it's triplescoopmusic.com. This is another royalty-free website. You can purchase track by track, and they've got lots of really good content. So check them out as well. All right, I think that answered all of Valerie's questions. Della said, what does mask depth setting mean? Is it in intensity? What mask depth does is you can actually mask more than one layer at once. So say for example we add this sky image into slide number 1. Alright, so we've got multiple layers on this slide. I can actually change my mask depth to 2, and now the clouds video is actually masking all or both of my layers. So unfortunately you're not going to be able to see the sky layer. What I could show you is if we took the dirt road and moved it over to the left, and the sky image moved it to the right, you can see my mask is masking both of them. So that's what mask depth does. You can also do mask depth if you don't want to type in the number. You can use the left and right arrows in your layers list. So I could take sky out of my mask, put it in the mask, and you can tell if it's associated with the mask because it will be moved over to the right, and it will be inside this bracket that comes out underneath the mask icon. So you can take it out, push it in, using those left and right arrows. So when it's not in the mask, your slide looks like so. When it is in the mask, it looks like that. All right. Good question, Della. Valerie said, not royalty free. I want a picture video like your guitar today. I need a banjo or fiddle. How do I know how to buy, how many credits I need to buy? Let's see. Just go to iStockPhoto. I mean, just go to any stock photography website and type in fiddle. And you'll get all sorts of pictures on here. Maybe you want something like that. And then you can see how many credits it takes to purchase this fiddle. It takes 30 credits. If you want to buy, you just need to sign up for iStockPhoto and buy credits. It'll tell you information. Let's see, you don't want to frequently ask questions. Well, I don't see it on here, but just browse the website and you can find out information. Alright, Del Mar said, on Choice Background, Jennifer had a tutorial on video masking, and I thought she mentioned something about having to include a mask layer. I'm not sure if you've seen that tutorial. I'll probably go back and view that again. Well, you know, video masking, you do have to have a mask layer. All you have to do to have a mask layer is take that video and enable it as a mask layer. Any type of layer, video, image, whatever, can be a mask. There is no such thing as a mask file type, at least in ProShow. So any type of image can be a mask. Any type of video can be a mask. So I haven't watched her video masking tutorial, so I'm not quite sure about that. Della asks, can the interesting transitions you describe that can be created with video be saved to the transitions panel within Producer, or is it entirely separate? No, there's no way to create new transitions. So, you know, I'm saying that you're creating transitions, and I'm saying that in quotes. You're not actually creating a transition. You are creating a video mask. But it works like a transition. At least this shatter video does. So you can find videos that work like a transition. They are not actual transitions, and there's no way to save that as a transition, at least right now. Maybe in the future it will be. So, good question. Debbie said, if you want to mask only a portion of the image, would you adjust the size of the video image? Absolutely, yes. So if you only want the video to play on a portion, you don't have to change the scaling of your video. You could keep it at fit to frame and maybe make the mask smaller, move it to the upper right-hand corner or something like that. That's a little weird. Images should only show up if they are being masked. Very curious. Not quite sure why it's working that way, but you should be able to adjust the size of your video mask. And that would adjust how it works. Like so. Very interesting. Okay, and Valerie said, can a video I took with my camera be used? Absolutely, yes. Yeah, so when we were discussing how you can get videos to use, I definitely mentioned that you could use video that you take with your camera. And remember, when you're taking or using video that you take with your camera, you want to, use nice short video clips. You want to try and capture video that has a high contrast value. So you want to see really bright areas, really dark areas. You need that when you're working with this type of masking because because you need to be able to conceal and reveal certain areas, so you need a high contrast between the light and dark. But ProShow takes a number of different file formats, so pretty much any type that your camera will capture. If you go to the Photodex website, go to the support section and take a look at documentation. Take a look on the left side underneath Producer. You can see supported file formats, and you can see an entire list. So for all these video and animation formats, AVIs, MOVs, MPEGs, almost any type of video file is accepted. So whatever you capture from your camera will certainly work. As long as you can get it onto your computer, you're good to go. Great questions, you guys. And once again, I will put together a toolkit of the files that we used in this class, at least the ones that we can distribute. So I know I can give you this sky image, the guitar, and probably the dirt road. And then for the videos, I'll be able to give you the clouds and the water drop. All right, Della said this has been a fun class and it's very creative, so thanks, good. Delmar said, I think Jennifer was referring to alpha channel for the mask layer. Not sure. You'll have to ask her about that one. In this class, all we've been talking about are intensity or grayscale masks. I don't think that a producer will do an alpha video mask. You can do, I know you can do video overlays, but I don't think you can use it as a mask. I could be wrong, but I don't have any examples to use for that right now. Valerie said, where do I go to get the ones you are posting today? So you're going to go to the same place that you went to log on to today's class. You're going to go to photodex.com/classes. You'll have to sign in using your member name. I'll sign in using my member name. All right, and let's see. Once you've done that, you'll go to your classes, and you can see I signed up for today's class. You'll click on video masking. At this point, all that is available is the PDF, but when I upload the course materials, you'll be able to see that you can download content. Let me show you what a previous class looks like. So let's say using slide styles. This is a class we taught back in April. You'll see this option that says Toolkit. It'll probably say Video Masking Toolkit. And when I recorded or uploaded the recording of the class, you'll see this option to watch this class again. So you can download both of those items and save them to your computer. All right, thank you, Debbie. So you'll just go to your classes and take a look for the class that took place today. All right, any other questions about video masking, about online classes in general? Any questions about the end of online classes? I do see someone's hand is raised. Sandra, feel free to type in your question into the question box, Sandra. If you have one, if you don't see that questions area, you just need to expand your GoToWebinar interface. You can do that by clicking on the red button with the white arrow. That should expand everything, and then you should be able to see that questions area. All right. Diane said this class has been very informative. I have learned a few things that I didn't know before about the program. Fantastic. Great. Glad it was helpful. And Sandra said our class is coming to an end permanently, and yes, ma'am, they are. You can find more information about that by going to the class. You can go to the products area if you want, and then click on classes. And you'll notice this all over the website. It says important notice about online classes. They're ending on September 1st, 2010. So if you have any credits that you want to use, go ahead and take those classes. We're offering every class at least once, maybe twice between now and September 1st. We've added some new classes, this class being one of them. If you have credits that haven't been used, we'll be happy to issue you store credit for the amount that you purchased the classes in, however many credits you have left. So if you purchase 10 classes for $100 and you have, say, 4 classes left, we'll give you $40 to use in the ProShow store. So we'll give you that credit, and you'll be able to download the recordings of the class through the end of the year. So you can download all that content. All right, good question. Delmar said, will we be seeing more workshop DVDs if there are no more online classes? Honestly, I'm not sure about that, Delmar. Not sure. I don't have much information about what the next step is. I'm sure there will be some sort of new training option. I'm just not quite sure what it will be. Diana says, why not use these videos in a library that are for sale at a later date? It's quite possible that that will happen. I'm not sure, Diana. For sure, I know that any classes you have taken, you can save them on your machine. And Valerie said, can I save my work to continue later? Can I change any of the slides if I want to change later? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am, you can, Valerie. So you can save your slideshows, open them up again later. You can always make changes. Nothing in ProShow is set in stone. So as you saw, when I was working inside the program, I'd go back and make changes. I'd invert my mask and make all those types of changes. So for sure. Diana said, are you going to be offering any new classes other than the ones that are there? Nope. The schedule is complete. So now through September 1st, the schedule is already posted. We won't be adding any more additional new classes. We have added some new classes, things like creating custom borders and backgrounds, getting creative with adjustment effects, layers in space, creating visual depth. Those are new classes. James said, will Photodex be coming out with something new in place of the online classes? Oh, and he's gone. I think we already answered that. And Valerie said, can we always phone in for help? Absolutely. If you go to the Photodex website, anywhere on the Photodex website, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see Contact Us. Our customer service team is available 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's Central Time. And there's a toll-free number, there's an international number, there's a fax number. So you can also always email our support team, and they will be happy to help you out. And Valerie said, how do I save to do later? All you do is go up to File and Save. And you'll be able to save your show file. And Valerie, I definitely recommend, if you're new to using ProShow, that you go and take a look at the basic help documentation. And the nice thing is if you ordered, say, a copy online and didn't get a box with a manual or anything, you can go to this help documentation and you get the entire user manual here. So there's a basic, like, getting started section that tells you information about how to save and stuff like that. Let's see if I can find where that information is. Perhaps it's in the Welcome to ProShow area. Well, definitely take a look at this user manual area. At this point, I don't know the exact location of where you can find the information on how to save, but I know it's in there. But all you need to do really is do File, Save. There's also a save icon here in your toolbar. All right, and Delmar said, any recommended programs to make video that can be used as video masking? I know our creative team uses the Adobe After Effects, but other than that, I'm not quite sure. If any of you, any other attendees have suggestions for programs to use to create video masks, feel free to type them into the questions area and I'll read them out loud. But the one I know that our team uses quite a bit is After Effects. And Delmar said, is the hard copy user manual available for purchase? Absolutely. I don't know if you can do it on the website. Let's see, browse all products. I don't see that you can purchase it here on the website, but if you call our customer support team, they'll be able to sell it to you. And I believe it sells for $10. I could be, it's either 10 or 20. I think it's 10. And we'll ship it to you. Valerie said, how should I save to be able to post on an internet website? How do I save to make a CD? How-tos. When you create a slideshow, Valerie, you'll want to go to Create Output, and you'll see lots of different output options. So depending on what website you want to upload your slideshow to, whether it be YouTube, Vimeo, ShareShow, Facebook, you have lots of different options there. If you're interested in learning a lot about how to upload to different websites, we have a whole class, a whole hour-long class that talks about that. And it would be called ProShow and Social Media would probably be a good one for you because it talks a lot about uploading to websites. I don't usually recommend saving to a CD. It kind of depends on what format you want to save it to a CD. Usually when you want to save to a CD, it's just an executable that's included on there. But all of those options are found in the output area. Where is that ProShow and Social Media? There we go. ProShow and Social Media. We just had one of these, I believe, earlier this week. So the next one is offered in August 11th. So definitely check that out. And information about creating output like that is for sure in that help documentation. So creating output for the web, there's information about exactly how to do that. Did you have another question, Sandra? Is your hand still up from earlier? Feel free to type it in whenever you'd like. Great questions, you guys. Anybody else? It's nice when we have a nice big class like this so we can get lots of good questions. Helps everybody out. If between now and the next class that you take, any of you do have any questions, feel free to send your requests to our support team, and they'll be happy to help you out. Oh, Diana said, thanks so much. I'm going to miss these classes. That's very nice of you to say. I'm sure that Photodex will, start doing some other type of training, and we'll make sure that we keep you guys up to date on the latest techniques inside the program. Just maybe a different format, and who knows, maybe it'll, I don't know, maybe it'll be a better value, or just something different. We like to stay on top of the times, and I think the classes have gone really well and have served a really great purpose. So we'll come up with something better for you. All right, cool. Well, thanks you guys for coming. I hope everybody has a fantastic afternoon, and I'll see you in future online classes. Have a good one.